Where'd you put hello?
I know, Presley's sitting with it. Hey, 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 FitMamas. We're live. Jen Oliver here, Love FitMama, and
Kimberly Banfield, back for round 2.
yeah, back for day 3 of the Unfuck Yourself Challenge. So what is this challenge about? If you've just tuned in, you're just getting into this, what is the Unfuck Yourself Challenge all about? Kimberly is here. She is our soul expert, visiting here for the week in Windsor. And she's helping us with this because Unfuck Yourself is really about kind of getting those layers of shit off you that you picked up through the years. So tell us a little bit more about what that means.
Yep. It's about removing those blockages that prevent you from doing the things that you really want to do, having some fun, and just getting out there, participating in life and love and laughter and all of those beautiful things.
Yeah, we were actually just talking about the statistic with one of our other colleagues at the Diet Rebellion, who she was telling us the statistic that 8 out of 10 girls and 9 out of 10 women actually don't participate fully in life because of something related to their body image.
Yeah.
So they don't go to a party, or they don't, hey Erin, hey Steph, hey Janelle.
Hi.
They won't go to a party, or they won't go out to a dinner, or they won't do a family event, or they won't go to the beach, or whatever it is. They're missing out on something because of a body image thing.
Yeah.
And that's when we need to start unfucking themselves, right? Ourselves. What are we doing thinking we can't participate in life because our body is getting in the way?
Yeah, when we're sitting on the sidelines, rather than being in line with our soul, I kind of like to think of it in terms of like a sideline versus a soul line. If we're on a sideline versus a soul line, then it's time for us to get unfucked. It's time for us to get rid of this energy in our body, this pent-up energy that is preventing us from being in our soul, being us, and participating in the things that we want to do. Because we're going to look back on those things 10, 15, 20 years later, perhaps even 20 minutes later, sometimes it's that fast for some of us, and go, I really truly wish that I'd been able to do that because I would have had more time with my kids, I would have had more connection with my husband, my partner, or I just would have done something that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it's about, you can think from the perspective of, if I'm going to regret not doing this, then you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Because the cool thing about that, really, that we all kind of know, but we don't actually think about it at the time, no one else cares. Like, no one else is thinking about
so much
us
about
in that
us.
way,
Yes.
except us. We're the ones who are caught up in how we feel, how we look. Good evening, unicorns. Thanks, Steph. No one else is thinking about that or focusing on that except for us. And this is where unfucking yourself is really key, because no one else can unfuck you except you.
Yeah. And you know what? We pick these things up over the years, right?
Yeah, we
and
do.
it's unintentional, and maybe it's well-meaning, and maybe we're trying to suppress something so we can move on.
Totally.
But these things layer, right?
Yeah.
Like, remember the golden Buddha example, right? It's layered in mud. It's caked on top that you don't see the golden underneath anymore.
Yeah.
And that cannot shine and be its true essence, really.
Yes.
Because we get so blocked.
Yeah.
Like, we compare ourselves to others. We say, oh, so-and-so's doing this, so-and-so's doing that. I can never do that. Now with social media, it's like comparison
my goodness,
heaven,
it's
right?
massive.
Oh, and especially with fitness, right? I mean, anyone who does anything related to fitness, it's like ab photos and all these things, and it's competitive, and it's, she could do it, but I could never do that. She is, and we put all these things into our heads. So what do we do with that?
Yoga is huge for that, right? Like, most people
yeah.
who post stuff from yoga on social media, it's like it's postures that the majority of people can't do.
Yeah.
But they get like a huge following from it because they can do things like, Kundanyasana, where one leg is out here and the other leg's out here, or
or like flying off a cliff.
Crazy
it's
headstands.
like, I can do this.
All that sort of stuff. And the average person can't do that. And you know what?
Yeah.
Not everyone's body is built that way.
Yeah. Well, and part of it's aspirational, right? The yoga teachers just want to be like, hey, look, this is yoga lifestyle,
This is what's
right?
possible.
Exactly. So it's supposed to be motivational, but it can, if you let it be, it can be very detrimental, right?
Yeah.
You can be, oh, I'll never get to do that. Oh, I suck. Oh, I'm ugly. Oh, I'm dumb. Oh, I'm fat. Oh, I'm whatever. But I was saying this the other day to a client. It was like, there's always going to be someone richer, poorer, fatter, skinnier, taller, thinner, whatever, right? There's always going to be someone. Ooh, I like that. Janelle said chronic approval junkie.
Ooh,
we seek validation in others. And that's when we know, unfuck ourselves. Let's figure out when it came that we want to validate ourselves through others' approval. When did it get to this point where I don't feel good about myself unless someone tells me I look pretty?
Yeah.
How did it get to that point?
And I guess that's where it really brings in two of the things that Jen and I wanted to talk with you guys about, around some of the things that, like some of the emotions that we get caught up in terms of basically fucking ourselves.
Yeah. So what kind of emotions are you thinking?
Well, the two ones that come to mind are like a guilt and shame.
Oh, guilt. Oh, you said the word. This word,
The
right?
G word.
The G word. I feel guilty for leaving my kids, for taking care of myself, for having any time for myself, for doing anything for myself. Guilt, 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 guilt. And the next one that I always hear
is shame.
Yes.
Which is, and that
I should have done, I could have done, I'm so bad, I'm so worthless.
Or I shouldn't wear this because I look like this. Or I shouldn't do this because I've never done it before, I'm not as good as this person. Or I've failed in the past, so I can't do it again this time round. Because I'm not meeting my expectations, others' expectations, and so on and so forth. These two things keep people chronically in that space of feeling really stuck, keeping energy in the body that's not serving them anymore, and just preventing them from being who they are and doing the things that they want to do.
Jackie, great point. I love that.
Yes.
Guilt is I wonder if I can scroll down again. Guilt is the most toxic of our emotions, more detrimental than anger.
It absolutely is. So guilt, from I guess from a vibrational perspective, from an energy perspective, a how you feel perspective, it is the lowest vibrational emotion, lowest vibrational energy that you can experience. Because it's something that keeps you tied to a whole victimization cycle and blame cycle, which
we've all been there for some reason or another. But it's about, is your life based upon this victim story?
Yeah.
Or are you
using
it to learn things from it?
Yeah. Do you do things out of guilt? You know, I'm doing this because I feel like I have to. I don't want to, or I don't enjoy doing this, but it's an expectation, it's an obligation, it's something I've always done, so people expect it of me. Are you doing it out of resentment? If you're not doing something from a place of love, from a place of enjoyment, from a place of pleasure, I was just having this conversation with a client just before about how important pleasure is. If you're doing stuff from places of guilt, you actually don't want to do it. So why are you doing it?
Right? That why question comes back up again.
Huge.
You know what? I feel like you can only ask a true why if you sit quietly and stop everything. Because I find when I'm in the middle of something and I'm frustrated or frazzled, I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I frustrated? Whatever. But if I'm still going fast forward and I don't take the time to stop and ask the question, then it doesn't come, right?
And actually,
and
Steph just made a good point. She said, because other people will label me a bad mum if I do these things, because I'm not listening to my own internal voice.
Ooh, so then talk again about that. Yeah, that internal voice, that intuition.
That internal voice is massive.
Hey,
and it's about
so many people
weeding
are joining
its way.
us.
Oh,
it's so
good.
fun.
Hi. The key thing is about wading through all that bullshit. Jen and I were talking before about banish the bullshit. Everything that's associated with guilt and shame and the thoughts that come into our head, they're not real.
Yes.
They're not true.
So what do you mean by they're not real? Because I say that all the time too, and then I feel like it bears explanation. So what do you mean by that?
They're things that they're essentially made up.
Okay.
Everything that we think, everything that we perceive, none of it is real. We create it in our heads.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do it to justify staying where we are, because sometimes it's easier to sit in guilt and keep doing those things than it is to shift. Because we know what it's like to be in guilt.
It goes back to safety, right?
It totally does.
Yeah.
We can know exactly what's going to happen. It's predictable. If we're coming from a different space that we're not used to, it can be a little bit scary because it's new for us.
Yeah.
And we don't know what's going to happen in that space. We don't know what people are going to say and do. We don't know what the day is going to look like.
Yeah.
And so sometimes because of that, we know what the routine is here, so we'll stay here.
Yeah.
And our mind tells us that's what's more important. At the same time, though, we hate it.
Exactly. Well, it comes back to that habit. It comes back to doing the things without even thinking, right?
Yeah.
How many times, I'll give you this example. It's a very benign example, but I get in my car, and when I used to drive to work, let's say, I would take a specific route. So it was I drive to work, drive to work, drive to work. If I wasn't going to work, if I wasn't thinking and being focused and present, I'd get in the car and I'd drive, and I'm like, I'm not even going to work, but I'm already at work, or I'm halfway there because I just tuned out. Because this is what I do. I get in the car and I go
Autopilot. Yeah.
And how many of us are stuck in that place? If you're stuck on autopilot, doing things that you go, how did I get here? Why did I do this? Why am I still doing this? That hasn't served me for 5 years. I'm
Yeah.
not even wanting it. That's the time to unfuck yourself. That's the time to banish the bullshit, right?
Yeah.
We make up guilt just to say, what? Like, we make up guilt, I feel. We make up guilt.
We do. Because guilt comes from a perception that the loss is greater than the gain.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
So let me think of how I can put it in a different way.
The loss is greater than the gain.
Yeah, so what it is that we're going to gain out of this is less than what we would lose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So when it comes to guilt, one of the reasons why we participate so much in guilt, and I like to call it a game of guilt because it is a game, is because we think that someone is going to react in a certain way, usually a bad way, if we stop doing something, behave in a different way, or do something that's just for us.
Yeah.
And I love how you say, like, self-love is not selfish.
Yes, exactly.
That totally applies to guilt.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah, exactly. Because we do feel that guilt. Okay, I want to have some time to myself. Like, what do you guys, what makes you feel guilty? What makes you feel that feeling of guilt when it's a misguided emotion in that specific space? When you feel guilt, it's an invitation to go, what am I really feeling? Oh, I don't have enough time for myself. I need to make space for that. I need to ask for help for that. I need to get clear on what I need or what I want or whatever. Yeah. But what is something that causes you that feeling? Like, what comes for you? I mean, for me, if I was really going to think about what would make me feel guilty, it definitely would be feeling like, oh, I'm not doing enough with my kids, quality time, right? Yeah. Hey, Al, hey, that's my sis. Hi, baby.
And I'm the same. Like, I don't have kids myself, but I'm one of 5. And I guess to give you like a brief little history, I raised my brothers and sisters when I was younger because my mum left when I was 17, and my youngest sister was 7 or 8 when she left. And there's 3 others in between. So I raised them when I was younger, so I totally understand a lot about raising kids, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And I forget where I was going with that, but there was an
So did you feel guilty when you were leaving them?
Oh, yes, absolutely. For me, every time I went to university, every time I went to work, every time I spent time with my boyfriend, or I would go away for the weekend, or I would do something that was part of my own life that was separate to life with them, I would feel incredibly guilty, and sometimes I would rush back home before I said I was going to be home because I felt so bad about being away from them because what if they needed me? What if something happened?
Well, that was exactly what someone was saying the other day. What if I'm not there to help and someone needs me? And that's partly like a bit of of course, safety and you care about your kids, but it's a bit of a control thing, right? Type A type thing. I want to control every situation. Without me, they can't function, right? Yeah. How many, families you see where one person's like, did you do this? Did you do this? It has to be my way. It has to be this way. Yeah. And when you get in that, it has to be my way, you don't allow the other person to do their thing, right? Yeah. And you don't allow yourself that space where you realize life will go on, right? Life will go on. And you taking care of yourself makes you more there for that quality time with your kids, right? Yeah. The quality time is absolutely the most important thing, spending that minutes face-to-face with them instead of all day but not really being present because you're feeling guilty about other things.
And one of the things that we've talked about a number of times in conversations that we've had is the more present you are with yourself, the more present you can actually be with your kids and your family. Because you're actually respecting yourself, you're loving yourself, you're giving yourself that time and space, even if it's no more than 5 minutes. The fact that you're doing that for you means you're being present with you, which means you're no longer thinking about the things that you're not doing or that you could be doing or that you wish you were doing, because you've done something about that. Yeah. And like I went to a mindset and leadership summit a couple of weeks ago down in Mexico, and one of the key things I took away from that was if you want something to change, you've got to do something different today than compared to what you did yesterday. Yeah. And
if nothing changes, nothing changes.
That's right. And it doesn't need to be a huge thing. Yeah. I think sometimes when it comes to to changing things like guilt or shifting things like guilt, we think it needs to be a big, massive thing, right?
I know.
And it doesn't. Not at all. It just needs to be something really little that you feel is able to be put into your day. Yeah. The little manageable small changes. And that's why we do the challenges in here, right? We do the hydration challenge. Hey, there's Jillian joined us with little baby Kingston. Oh, mwah, mwah, mwah. Yeah, tiny shifts lead to huge changes. Absolutely, right? It's we think it's like, oh my God, it's this big thing I have to do. But it's little things every day that add up to massive things over time. Yeah. But it's little things. You can't
get stronger and do all these things that you want in one day. Every day you can just do one little thing towards that and know that when you're present here, you're not worrying about the future or the past.
Yeah.
You're here, there, now, right?
And if I can share an example of some work that we did together and something that I know really helped you,
yes, do tell.
was that in terms of self-care,
Yes.
you know, Jen was going through some stuff where like she felt like she's been pulled in so many different directions, which we all feel like that so often. And the key thing was washing her face every day.
Yeah.
Having that couple of seconds,
It was like a
that
ritual
time,
we created around it.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
which with her time and her space, where it was just simply like washing her face. And it worked across a number of different levels because it meant that she no longer felt guilty about not having time to herself. And from an energetic, vibrational perspective, she washed away all the guilt and all the shame and everything associated with whatever it was that she was carrying as a heavy weight at the time. And because water's about flow and it's about clearing things. And so the simple act of washing your face is not only time for yourself, so great, there goes the guilt. But it's also about, you know what, as I'm doing this, I'm going to set the intention that I'm going to be removing any of this energy that's no longer serving me, that's getting me caught up in guilt, fucking me over. I'm going to wash that off my face. And whether you use cleanser, toner, you might have an intention for each one of those stages. It might just be water, whatever it is. Use that to wash that off your face. Wash it away. And then let it go down the drain. Watch it. Done.
So what's our action item for today? Because today's Unfuck Yourself Challenge comes with an action item. Every day we want you to try something or think about something in a different way than what you were thinking about, in a way that can help you move forward, right? We don't want to just talk about these things and be like, hey, it's all good, you know, this is good, this is good. We want to give you something that you can go then and do and implement in your own life. So what's our action of the day, Kimberly?
Well, aside from what we just said before, like totally go and wash your faces.
Do it.
Absolutely.
Do it. Making
because
a routine
it is so
around
easy,
that.
and plus you feel so fresh.
Exactly.
So
Heather,
fresh.
thank you.
And because
Heather,
it's so hot, sorry for everyone who's not in Canada at the moment or North America. It's really hot at the moment. And even if it's not hot, like I know in Australia it's really cold. Certainly
really
where I'm from in
cold.
Melbourne, it's freezing.
I don't know. Andy was on the beach today in his video. I was like,
And it still looks cold.
You
can use warm water.
We don't go to the
exactly
beach in the
same
winter
way.
here. We don't
Not
do
as
that.
much of a shock. But one of the key activities that we wanted to give you tonight to do is something that I use with my own clients, and I actually posted about it today, and we thought it was perfect. So whenever you're in that mindset of guilt and shame, have a look around you and look for something beautiful. Look for something that really catches your eye, and it might be a flower, it might be a top, it might be a ring, it might be something in your kids, you know, whatever it is. Look for something in that and identify what's beautiful about it. And then ask yourself the question, where are these things in me? How do I see these things in me? Because the only reason why we can see those things in other things or other people is because they exist inside of us. Otherwise, we actually wouldn't be able to identify them. And then allow yourself to actually feel that and see that in you, and just watch how that shifts and transforms the guilt and the shame. Because you're focusing on the things that you love about you, that you love about the environment around you. So you're bringing back love not only into your outer space, but also into your inner space. So find something beautiful, identify what it is that you think is beautiful about it, and then ask yourself, where are these things in me? How do I see these things in me? And then let yourself take that on board and use that as a way of, again, that whole scenario of washing away the guilt. And then you're coming again from a space of love, which is what unfucking yourself is all about. When you unfuck yourself, you find the love.
You do find the love.
And you can unfuck yourself by finding the love.
Yes, I like that. And being a fit mama is all about love, right? It's all about starting with love. And we know that when we give love, we can receive love, right? And it's the same thing as that. We look at something beautiful and we realize that's within us. That is already within us, all this beauty, right? We are beautiful as we are today. You are perfect, and you are exactly where you need to be on your journey to wherever you're going. So just peace be with you in that way where you really just know. You have that knowing that you're feeling good and you're here where you need to be. As others have said, this is exactly what I need to hear tonight. Love it. Mwah, Renee, two Renees, yay, Mary. Hey, ladies. So nice to see you, Fit Mamas. Thank you for joining us tonight. It is so nice to see you. Day 3 of Unfuck Yourself going on today. Tomorrow is day 4. we are moving forward. We are moving towards our yin yoga class, our soulful
Yes.
yin yoga class happening Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern here in Windsor, Ontario. Get your tickets. The link will be underneath this video. Please, please, please
Get on
join
it.
us.
Join us.
Join us. Just join us, because there's so much more of this. And actually, Kimberly, we won't tell them this today. We'll wait for another day to tell them the secret. That I have a secret for you guys of what's going to happen that night, but it's going to be super cool. So join us. You don't want to miss it. Otherwise, yeah, girl, peace be within you. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, namaste. Hey, friends. Okay, have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow. Go and fuck yourself tonight and tomorrow. See ya.
Bye.